and welcome to Telewizja Republika. Today, we begin with the media reaction to Senator J.D. Vance's remarks from 2021 Republican National Committee spokesperson Elizabeth Pipko. She told Newsmax that the reaction to Vance's comments about the childless cat ladies is overblown. Pipko emphasized that Vance will remain on the ticket as former President Donald Trump's running mate, dismissing the uproar as typical media reaction to Republican statements. She stated, and that's a quote, "President Trump obviously made a decision. He is the man at the top of the ticket. He is the man that's been leading the party for nearly 8 years now, who will continue to lead this party when he's in the White House next year. And I think that's really all that matters," end quote. Next, former President Trump's campaign has launched a new ad targeting Vice President Kamala Harris. The ad, titled "This is who Democrats deposed Biden for," uses Harris' own words to highlight her liberal voting record and policy positions, portraying her as failed, weak, and dangerously liberal, end quote. The ad includes clips of Harris' statements on immigration, healthcare for illegal migrants, the Green New Deal, and the mandatory gun buyback program. This strategic move by the Trump campaign aims to keep Harris' record in the spotlight as she becomes the presumptive Democrat presidential nominee. In related news, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper has withdrawn from consideration as Harris' potential running mate. Cooper cited the need to focus on his responsibilities in North Carolina and concerns about Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson potentially causing chaos if he were to leave for the campaign trail. This development leaves Harris with a shorter list of potential vice presidential candidates, including notable figures like Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Finally, Donald Trump has expressed uncertainty about debating Kamala Harris. In an interview with Fox News, Trump stated he would probably debate Harris, but could also argue against it. He questioned the terms of the originally agreed upon debate with President Biden and suggested potential changes to the debate arrangements. Trump emphasized that any debates need to be held before early voting starts in states. Those are the latest developments from the U.S. presidential campaign, the campaign that we are trying to cover here on Telewizja Republika and on our program Rock On. That's our Substack. You can join us here. You can also join us on YouTube. You can try to find our Rock On channel and subscribe it. I strongly recommend this. You can also leave us your email on rackracon.com on our Substack. We'll get back to you with our reports on the developments from various fronts of the ongoing war against the Western civilization. My name is Michał and this is Rock On, and we roll in.
Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go!
And tonight, we're going to talk again with the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles and the Eagle Forum Education and Legal Defense Fund, Mr. Ed Martin, again on Telewizja Republika. Great to see you again. Great to talk again about the presidential campaign. Where are you?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me. I'm sorry that it may not be the best technology. I'm at what's called the Museum of the Bible. And it is in Washington, D.C. proper. A very successful businessman and his wife funded hundreds of millions of dollars. It's a 6-story building with exhibitions about the Bible and about the history of the Bible, about nations like Poland. There's a section that talks about Poland and Poland's history. And it's an extraordinary museum in this in the swamp. And so I'm here, actually. They allow us to use the space. And we're having a pro-life meeting here, a bunch of pro-life leaders. And so it's a great place to have a meeting, and we're really excited. And I'm sorry for the technology challenge that your staff and I had to go through.
Not at all. Everything's perfect here. Ed, I'd like to have your opinion on because actually you are debating pro-life issues right now, and it seems to me from the distance and from this side of Atlantic Ocean that this is one of the key issues that are always debated in actually every presidential and political campaign in the Western world. Is that the case of the US presidential campaign as well? According to at least a couple of ads published both by Democrats and Republicans, it seems to me that both sides are playing on that tune.
Yeah, it's true. And the reason it's true is because if you tell me someone is pro-life, they believe in life, they believe in the dignity of life, I can guarantee you that person has a view of government and a view of Western civilization that's different than people who say it's just an inconvenience. And so on the left, Kamala Harris, the new nominee for president, she works closely with Planned Parenthood. She's been on record very, very pro-abortion at any point in the pregnancy. And the Republicans and conservatives are more pro-life. Not perfect. We have to do more to build the culture of life. But when they attack abortion, they know they're getting us to concede as a culture that life is not important. And as we know here at the Bible Museum, life is not important because we like it. It's important because we're each made in the image and likeness of God. So abortion is at the heart of every debate. I think in America, even though I think that the Democrats want to make abortion as the central issue, most Americans are more broadly concerned about the family and about life in general. So, but it is a big issue, that's for sure.
Yeah, let me ask you a question about the substance of the at least couple new ads that were published by the Democratic side. It's in a way it's a mimicking and making a laugh out of the pro-life activists, portraying or framing them as creepy guys who are referring to the issues of the sexual stuff and imposing certain type of sexual behavior on broad population, which is obviously not true, but certainly there is a good reason for which Democratic campaign strategists create this kind of presidential ads. So let me start with this. What's the reason for doing it, and what kind of threat, because I assume it is a threat for Donald Trump and Republicans' campaign, are this kind of ads and this kind of messages?
Well, first of all, when you see a culture that has Paris, the Olympics, mocking major religion, Christianity, for the Last Supper, you realize that they mock everything. They mock it to belittle it. They mock it to make people feel badly about themselves. The bigger problem in America is too many of us, our families, our cultures, have drifted away from not just life, but the family and community. And, they're preying on the individual to our worst tendencies. And so, I think the ads are effective in a certain way. They motivate a certain set of people who care about those issues and have been conditioned to care. Single people that are more less church going. But a lot of Americans don't buy it, and I think that they see through it. And when they get more ridiculous, more people can see it. I think that the Paris, the debacle of the Paris opening games where they mocked the Last Supper actually was sort of helpful, because you could see these people are sick. These people are twisted. And so, but they're certainly going to try to play on that. I think they're wrong, by the way. As a matter of politics, I think they're talking to too small a group of people who care about abortion so much. I think most Americans care about the price of gas and the price of groceries, and the fact that in America, we have an open border that's not only letting people in all over the place that are, here in school, taking up goods and services. We also have now admitted terrorists. We have terrorist countries that have sent people through the border, not just China, by the way. China has sent a lot, but actual, Islamic terrorists. So most people care more about that than they do abortion, but they're trying to make it the issue, that's for sure.
You mentioned the Olympic opening ceremony, which was a pathetic, it's even hard to call it a spectacle.
Yeah.
Call it a mockery of the opening ceremony itself. However, the shockwaves were sent throughout the world. I know, and we know here in Europe, in Poland, that people were shocked by those scenes of mocking the Jesus Christ in the Last Supper. I wonder what was the reception of this in United in United States. You actually mentioned it in the context of the ongoing presidential campaign, but I wonder is there a significant outrage out after?
You know, the Olympic Games in America, the Olympic Games don't get a lot of attention. It's not quite as big as some of the other events these days for whatever reason. I'm not sure I know why. So it's not gotten as much outrage as maybe you'd expect, but it hasn't been lost on the American people that when you look up and see the Paris, as you say, this pagan, nasty thing, it wasn't even good art. It wasn't even clever. It was just ugly. It looks a lot like what they're trying to do in some of our libraries. They have these drag show story hours where they have people that look like those people in Paris, and they try to read stories to children, or they want to force on young people. So again, it's gone so far. We're not talking about two people that have love that is misguided in the sense that we don't think that outside of marriage there should be certain things. We're talking about pushing onto the culture this radical transgenderism, and what's wild about it, and I know in Poland you probably feel this even if you don't have it in your Polish government, although I bet there's some. In America, it's happening from the government, but in the European Union, they celebrate this stuff, right? I mean, in these countries in Europe, France, it used to be a bastion of real serious Catholicism, and there's more Islam publicly displays, it seems to me, than old-fashioned Catholicism, but it's accepted and encouraged in a way that is just amazing how fast it's happened. And I'll pause to say this. If you don't believe that the power of the social media is big, you just are not watching, because people, young people especially, are persuaded to be tolerant to what is really behavior that used to be called deviant. And so we're in a wild time. But again, I think the devil is showing his hand. But back to your question more accurately, it's not seized the presidential debate. I think the left wants to run from it. I think Trump made a comment or two and has moved on.
Okay, coming back to the campaign trail, what is the meaning and what is the situation in the swing states right now? We have a new candidate. Kamala Harris seems to be in couple of weeks officially nominated as a Democratic candidate, and we see the margin in the polls getting really slim between Trump and Harris. So, what's your assessment of the current situation?
Well, I just was in a meeting. I mentioned I'm here at the Museum of the Bible. It's an extraordinary place, and there's a meeting of pro-life leaders, and there was some polling there. The polling is not as dramatic as the media is covering. Right now, we're living in America where for 3 years, Kamala Harris was perceived as a very weak vice president. She didn't do much. She wasn't strong. She wasn't charismatic or articulate. And in 3 days, we've had the media switch and say she's amazing and trailblazing and all this stuff. So most people in America don't know what to make of that, and the world is being told she's amazing, she's wonderful. It's simply not true. So the polling that I saw just about half an hour ago says that she got a little bit of a bump, but not as much as people think, and that the race is going to come down to, as we always knew, 5 or 6 key states. And as you and I talked about when you were in Milwaukee, 2 of the big states, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, where Milwaukee was, have a huge number of Polish American Catholics, mostly, who have come to America over the last 50 to 100 years. They'll make a big difference in this election. And what they see will matter, which is why your station, your program is so important. But what I would say is we're watching the media say Kamala Harris is wonderful. Let's see in about 2 or 3 weeks. She's had to retreat from her positions. She's already said, well, I wanted to ban certain types of oil and gas, but I didn't mean it. I said that 3 years ago. I didn't mean it. I take it back. And she's backtracking on her liberal positions. Let's see what happens in 2 or 3 weeks in terms of the polling. Trump has his locked-in base of 45%. She has her 45%. The question is, where's the other movement going to be? I still think it's with the Trump positions on the border and on things like inflation and the economy, but we'll see what happens.
So as I understand, you are not expecting any new subjects, new big topics that can rule the debate, show up at least for now. I know it's still 100 days ahead of elections, but do we see anything obvious in that context right now?
No, I think what you're going to see is trying to define who Kamala Harris is, and she gets stuck with all the Biden weight, right? Joe Biden's positions. She was a partner in that administration, and then her own past and her own positions. But I think we have two very, very well known in terms of the background. Everything is known about them to the media and others. It's going to be who has the ability. And look, let me say something very important. We're watching in America Venezuela. And we're watching the media say Venezuela might have cheated in their elections. And we in America are saying, we've been talking about the problem of elections and being careful and secure. And so maybe that's good that we're seeing everyone admit that you have to watch the elections better. In 2020, if you said the election looked weird, it looked like the voting was different than what happened, you were told you were anti-American and you were told you were over the line and all. Well, we're now seeing something. So it's going to be a close election is my point, I think. Or Trump is going to pull away. Maybe that could happen. But we're going to find out about Kamala Harris on the big stage in the next 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Can you explain, and that's my final question, can you tell and explain our viewers, what does the slogan "too big to rig" in the context that you just mentioned means?
Yeah. For many of us, and years ago, I ran the election board in St. Louis, Missouri, which is the local election authority. And so I learned elections really closely. Too big to rig is a phrase that many people are using, which is to say, make the number of votes you get so big, so many votes that they can't cheat, that it's too big, the election is too much of a success, that they would be so obviously cheating. You know, actually, that's what happened in Venezuela. All of the exit polling showed that the challenger was winning and beating the incumbent by huge margins. And then he tried to change it, it looks like. And now everybody's objecting. So what most of us are saying is no matter what the polls say, you have to keep going because you have to make sure if it's super close, it feels like, I don't know for sure, but it feels like that the system is able to be manipulated against the conservatives, against the Republicans, against pro-lifers and others. So make the win big enough that they can't mess with it.
That's at least the viewpoint of the people who look at this campaign from the Republican conservative viewpoint. Ed, thank you very much for your time, your presence on Telewizja Republika. Stay safe. See you soon. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this show comes back tomorrow. Or at least we do hope that it comes back tomorrow, because there are important issues going on here in Poland right now, but we'll try to make it tomorrow. You can leave us your email on rakracon.com. That's our website, that's our Substack. See you soon. Stay safe. Ciao, ciao. Bye.